Good evening. In my experience, there is no such thing as easier or harder. There's only more familiar and less familiar. By the way, this guy and this guy just came out of this bag because we have a new supplier for the BeamtUp merch, which means that not only are the t-shirts cheaper, like $13 plus shipping, but the hoodies that used to be $45 even for me are now like $23 plus shipping, which is awesome. So that'll be coming up soon, but I want to let you know that. Links for that store are going to be in the description. What I mean by something not being easier or harder, but more familiar and less familiar, say somebody's changing job industries. They may be a total go-to dude in one place and then they go to the other one and then they're a babe in the woods. Babe in the woods. A bartender may find the point of sale system of his new job, even while doing the exact same thing, kind of like phones, totally bewildering and complicated, but be able to expertly and quickly navigate the old system when both jobs involved serving people drinks. One who wants a very specific part of a very specific song from an obscure artist off of YouTube that's not on Spotify or Pandora or the other like iTunes or whichever, could easily get that done in, it takes a few steps, but it could easily get it done. I could tell you. So you open up YouTube in the web browser and you go to flvto.com and another tab. Then you copy the link to the video and then copy it into the FLVTO, download the MP3. Then you download Ringtone Maker. Then you open that file you just downloaded in Ringtone Maker. Then you select the song, part of the song that you want, then save it as a notification. Boom, you're done. It's easy. But you take somebody that has an iPhone that wants that same specific part of that same specific song from that same obscure artist, and if that's you that just heard that whole start to finish process, it probably sounded complex. But it's incredibly easy because I've done it a lot, and only because I've done it a lot. You try to explain that to somebody who hasn't done it in their life, and it'll sound complicated. I wouldn't know how to do that on an iPhone even if it was possible, because I've used Android way longer and are more familiar with it. Going into a file browsing system and choosing to show the thumbnails for photos larger because I'm sitting further away on a MacBook sounds like a very complicated endeavor to me, and if one were to explain the steps, I would have been like, okay, wait, so you go here, what's it called again? Because it's unfamiliar. You put a Windows computer in front of me and I can do it like that because I've done it a lot and the familiarity is there. I've used Windows OS way more than I've used their Mac OS or whatever complicated name they're calling it nowadays. And what about taking your number off of the iMessage database in the event of you choosing not to use iPhones anymore? If you want to lose text messages, which is another problem with iMessage entirely that there's other videos on, then you can avoid this step. And it is easier now than it used to be, granted. However, you used to have to not only dig into the settings on an iPhone, then turn off iMessage, then you had to go to their website, and or, I can't remember exactly because it's been a couple of years, call them, say, hey, I want this number taken off of the database. And then they would remove, which your number was added to without you asking them to anyway, and there's, like I said, there's a whole nother video for that. But it's complicated. But for somebody who's done it a lot, they could be like, oh yeah, you just do this, 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 and this. Easy. Easy. More familiar. Someone that I work with could solve problems that I am bewildered by because he's been doing this for 20 years. But I've only been doing it since March. He's like the go-to guy for any problem you have. But one day there was a GIF on Facebook about a hamster that was running on a wheel, and all of a sudden it like flies off. But I looked at it and looked at it and looked at it. I'm like, you know what? Something's not right. And I needed a way to slow down that GIF to see exactly what happened, because something physically didn't look right. I think like it was running this way, but all of a sudden the wheel got spun this way, the opposite direction, really fast. I'm like, somebody had to have hit that thing, which is cruel and them being an asshole in the first place. But I invited my coworker over to diagnose the problem and see if he could figure out what was wrong with it, or if he agreed with me that something was kind of fishy. And the GIF wasn't actually everything it was portrayed to be. I couldn't slow the GIF down straight from Facebook. I went to open Mobizen, then open Facebook, then went to that same GIF. And then I turned on screen recording on Mobizen and let it watch the GIF for a few seconds. And then I stopped the recording, went to the recording in the gallery, then opened it up in the video editor, and then slowed the playback speed down. And that's how we determined that although the hamster was running this way and the wheel was turning like this, somebody went and then spun it backwards and threw the hamster off. And the text that was with the meme was reliant on the hamster flying off all of a sudden. So not only did it poke a hole through that meme and expose whoever did that to the hamster as a dick, but he said, "You really are a whiz with phones, aren't you?" And I'm not saying that to toot my own horn, because what I did was very easy. It was so simple. But to him, who hadn't done that very much and who also owns an iPhone, it was complicated. It was complex looking enough for him to comment on how good I was with making that happen. It's so easy. It didn't require a whole lot of like hard thinking, although it was really cool figuring out how to solve that problem. But the point is, you put a lawyer on the streets and a gangster in an office and they'll both be idiots and think their current situations are complicated. But put them in the environment that they know and their understanding is like second nature because it's what they know. More familiarity. Stay beaming. Cool. What I mean by something being what I mean by something not changing a job or and not on, and you go to flvto.com and another tab and then iOS or with and so I was like, wait a second. I mean, that they know? Cool. Done deal. This place is awesome.